You're listening to Hawk Talk.
Welcome to the first episode of the St. Anselm Men's Soccer Podcast, Hawk Talk. I'm your host, Assistant Coach Tim Field. I've been part of the coaching staff here at St. Anselm College for about 4 years, and I'm loving every minute of it. Joining me each episode as my co-host is Zach Elliot, junior communications major and starting forward on the men's soccer team. Our goal is to provide you, our friends, our family, and those alumni of St. Anselm College an update on our program. In the off-season, we're going to try and do an episode every couple weeks, and during the season weekly. That way we can keep you informed on our success on the field. Our goal is also to make sure this is more of a conversation. It's almost as if we were sitting at the pub on campus having a pint and talking about the last game, how we destroyed SNU, whatever the case may be. Maybe some of the new guys coming in. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy this. So, Zach, since you're going to be my co-host, let's talk about really, who is Zach Elliot?
Yeah, like you said, junior communications major. I'm in my second year at St. A's, minoring in Spanish and sports studies. From Manchester, New Hampshire. I was born and raised here. Proud of it. A proud 2017 graduate of Manchester Central High School. I played soccer there, obviously, as well as basketball, lacrosse, and I kicked for the football team. But my main passion was always soccer. I always did that year-round.
So I knew you a little bit when you were younger, and I know that soccer was your passion, but why don't you talk about a little bit growing up in southern New Hampshire and playing in the leagues here, and then obviously you probably went into Maple and then NPL and things like that, but tell us about that.
Yeah, so when I was a little kid, I was probably 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. I always played on a number of club teams, 3 age groups older. So when I was 9, I played on a U12 team. When I was 6, I played on U9s. I always, wanted to challenge myself. My sister did the same thing. She's a lot older than me. She did the same thing. So I wanted to challenge myself like her. And obviously, I still am today, but back then I was also the smallest kid on the field. So it was always a battle for me, and it definitely helped me because nobody took it easy on me. I always had to find different ways to be successful on the field, and I still do now. So that experience definitely helped me. When I was 12, obviously those kids went on to play high school, so they weren't playing club in the fall anymore. So that's when I really started playing my own age group at Manchester Soccer Club, which was under Seacoast United at that point. I played there for 5 years, and then my last 2 years of high school, I did GPS New Hampshire under John Price, and I still play my summer league ball there.
Yeah, and for those of us who know anything about the team, John Price is an excellent resource who's given us, 5, 6 guys on the team that came from GPS.
Yep.
So coming out of high school, I know we didn't talk to you. We didn't really know you at the time, but what schools were you looking at when you were graduating?
I didn't get too many looks. St. A's actually looked at me before you and Bruno got there, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to St. A's, no way. My only athletic scholarship offer was at Merrimack College, and it came late in my senior year, so I was actually pretty fortunate. I did my first year there. I played in about half the games, about 10. I scored once, and we won the NE10 championship, played in the NCAAs. It was fun, but at the end of the day, I didn't really like the school. The team environment wasn't really a good fit for me. So I came home one day, and I said, Ma, I want to switch things up. I want to transfer. We talked about it, and basically that's how I ended up at St. A's.
So people know you transferred in your sophomore year. You started playing with us, and you were able to come onto the field immediately. There was no time that we had to wait for that.
Right.
But why don't you talk about, so far, your experience at St. A's so far?
So far it's been great. Bruno brought me in the first day I met him. He welcomed me and my mom with open arms, made us feel right at home, made us feel a lot more comfortable than where we had just come from. And yeah, that definitely helped me get settled in right away. It made me feel like somebody wanted the best for me and was looking out for me, which hasn't always been the case in my soccer career. And then after that, we had that Florida trip, got to bond with a lot of the guys, which really helped, and that really got me settled into things. And then once school started, classes came along, and it's definitely a bit of a challenge and a change from my old school and also high school. A lot more challenging, but like I said, the guys on the team, making those relationships, being resources and shoulders to rely on, definitely helps that.
Yeah, and that's something that, it's good to see, and it's even better to hear when you guys talk about something like that. So 2018 was a difficult season for us. Right. So why don't we just pretend like it never happened, and let's talk about 2019.
Right.
So 2019 came, and you started off pretty hot. You had 4 goals in just over 3 games, and then something very unfortunate happened. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so going into this past season, I had pretty high expectations for myself as well as the team. I knew I was a junior, so I really started to want to put the ball in the net a lot more. The team was relying on me to do that. I'm an offensive player, so I felt that's what I had to do. I didn't really have the confidence at first because my sophomore season I didn't score 1 goal. And in 2 years combined, I had only scored once. So I didn't really have the confidence, but first game, came out, scored 2 goals. I was kind of in the right place at the right time. Mike set me up for a couple of them. Game against Roberts, he had a nice cross. Game against Nyack, he scrapped for one and threw it right in the middle, and I just tapped it in. So I was really the right place at the right time. But at the end of the day, it did a lot for my confidence. Like you and Bruno always said, once I score 1, they'll keep coming. So that's really how I was looking at the season. I was like, I'm going to score 10 goals. I'm going to score 15 goals. That's like how I was looking at it. And then the 4th game came, and we're tied. Second half, I go in to take a shot, and the ball's a few feet in front of me. I go to take a shot, and out of nowhere, a defender comes to clear, and we just collided. Our feet collided, and I suffered a high ankle sprain. I thought I'd be fine. At first, I was like, I'm gonna be back right away.
You were asking me to put you back in after you got taped up.
Yeah, I was trying, but I knew I was hurting, and I was on crutches for 3 weeks. I kind of milked the handicap parking sticker at school, and I was in a boot for 2 weeks after that. So that's a month and a half right there, pretty much. And at that point, there was only a game or 2 left in the season, and I was like, is it really going to be worth it to play 1 or 2 games, or should I just redshirt? So I filed my medical hardship.
Yeah, and for those of you listening, the one silver lining to Zach's injury is his red shirt was approved, and we get him for 2 more years, which will be helpful. And by the way, Zach, the math on 4 goals in 4 games means I would have expected at least 16 goals from you this year.
Yep.
And as people who know me know, I love to blame you for the fact that we only won 7 games this year.
Yep.
Who would have thought we'd ever say we only won 7 games? Because I think if you were healthy, 10 or 11 was probably a more realistic number for us to look at. So the good news is we get you back next year.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to it. And I know you're going to do big things.
Yeah, and I'd also just like to throw out how grateful and excited I am to be back with this team for 2 more years. If all goes to plan, I'll get my degree next spring and then become a graduate student and have my 5th year of eligibility. I'm just really excited. This is an extra year to play in front of my family and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, that does make it really nice. And it is nice when we look up in the stands and your mom has assumed the position directly behind Bruno and I at every game. We should almost just put a reserved sticker on those seats for her.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, you're also a student at St. Anselm College.
Correct.
Why don't you talk a little bit about being a student there and maybe talk about what it's like being part of the community at the college?
Yeah. So like I said before, classes are a lot harder than what I had experienced before. My cousins graduated from St. A's, and they did tell me that the workload was a lot harder and a lot more plentiful. So it's not the easiest, but a good thing about it is the professors care about you and want the best for you, and they'll help you with whatever you need. So that made me feel right at home, and it helped me succeed as well. It helps all of us succeed. But like when you throw soccer into that mix, it can kind of get a little overwhelming, because most people think we just go to practice and play in the games, but we're also doing film study in the off season. We're also doing 6 a.m., 7 a.m. lifts with Coach Herrick, who's not the easiest, but we still love him. And
He's an animal, there's no doubt about it.
It's good for us. It gets his discipline. We also do team community service activities. We have a lot of events that we do as a team. It's just, and on top of that, traveling to and from away games, 3-4 hour bus rides to New York and Connecticut and all those places. People just don't take that into account. It's just a lot of hours and it's a lot of hard work that we put in, but it is worth it in the end.
Yeah, I think one of the things that people don't realize is the NCAA actually sets guidelines for what we're allowed to do with you.
Right.
During the season, we're allowed to keep you guys 20 hours a week with 1 day off required. And that doesn't include travel time. So really, you guys are hustling and bustling a whole lot and then getting class on top of it.
Right.
And one of the things that I'm proud of, and I think you should be proud of, is why don't you tell everyone what your GPA is after a schedule like that?
Yeah, so through 5 semesters, I have a 3.61 GPA. I made Dean's List 5 times, academic honor roll for the NE10, which I'm really proud of. My mom's always pushed me to do my best in the classroom first, because if I'm not succeeding in the classroom, I'm not going to be able to play. And that's honestly the case for all of us guys. We have a lot of great students on the team who put in the work in the classroom so that we can be together on the field, because they know if they don't, it's going to be letting the team down.